Hey, how's it going, guys? This is HQ. We are with HQ Josh. How you doing, man?
Long day, but we got there. Fifth place with Shadow Army.
Oh man, you must be so excited. So now you are going to Nats. How do you feel?
Excited. Came and fell a little short on the bubble last year multiple times, and finally got there. I absolutely love this deck, and I really appreciate the team for helping me practice so much to get here.
Well, we're excited. So show us the deck. You said Shadow Army, fifth place.
Yeah, Shadow. I think it's one of the best decks out there, and we'll get more into it later. But I think it's a great play against anything except for Red Kenshin, and even then, you kind of still have a game, but it's an uphill battle. So we'll start from the low end and go to the high. We have 12 zero-drop Shadow Soldiers. I wouldn't do any other option than that number. I know some people play around with running 10 or 11. I think 12 is the number. It's they filter your deck. They're Shadow Affinity. They can be snuck through with Kaisel. There's just I would never cut a Shadow Soldier. And then same thing with the tanks at the 1 cost. They are essentially the same thing. They are active triggers. They're nullify impact. You can bring back 2 of them at a time with your Shadow Monarch later. And you also can use them to sneak damage through with Kaisel that people aren't expecting. Very powerful. And then I have 3 of the 1 cost Jinwoo. Honestly, I try not to play these until the late game unless I really have to. They're not Shadow Affinity, but the best thing about them is that they can be brought back from your sideline at any time just by pitching a Shadow Affinity. And that really gives you flexibility for raiding over your Sung Jinwoos in the late game to get your big boy, which we'll get to later. So I think you could make an argument for going to 2 or to 4, but I think 3 feels like the right number for me because you don't want to get hand clogged with multiple. But at the same time, I have run 4 before and it's felt fine as well. Now we'll go over here. The Singular Iron. Again, I could see an argument for 2. Some people even play 3. They feel good in some matchups, not in others. I just decided I would rather that slot be something else, and it has no trigger, so I ended up on 1. I've been at 2, I've been at 3 before, but I think 1 worked well for me today. Then we have our 3 drops. Kaisel. I can't sing enough praise about Kaisel. He just essentially, when you attack with your 16 low drops, they make it so that 4Ks and higher can't block, and that can steal games. One of my matchups was won straight up by just sequencing my attacks so that the Kaisel could get the tank through at the end, and it was a beautiful way to win a round. Tusk, he's more there for the double energy pip. He also can boost your small guys up by 1500 or draw and discard a card. He's much more there just for the double energy pip, but his abilities are relevant, and drawing and discarding is nice. This one's, a little spicy, a little controversial. I was running 1 of the event to draw 3, discard 2. It basically helps you filter, especially in the late game. Finding these 12 drops tends to be all that matters in a lot of matchups, and sometimes you just need to find them. It can also set up your sideline in a way so that you can get value of multiple bodies off your Shadow Monarchs, and that can be really helpful in the late game. I wouldn't run it more than 1 because if you see multiple in the top of your deck, you can't sideline it with Shadow Army, with your Shadow Soldiers. And it doesn't be, it can't be added by Jinwoo or anything like that. So 1, it feels like the right number, or 0, but I like the 1 of it. It served me well. It won me a game finding a 12 drop today. We have our 3-drop Jinwoo Searcher. It can add anything in the deck for the most part, except for our special here, and obviously our restands. It is a beautiful card. It finds our 12s. It helps us get our egresses into our sideline. It gets whatever we need into our sideline for us. It's a beautiful card. It's probably one of my favorite cards in the deck. 4 restands. I know it's not usually controversial to say, but 4 I feel is the right number, but it could be 3 as well. And why that is if Shadow Soldier, when you're playing your second one, and you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, if they're both restands, it is so bad for you. You can't filter it. You can't get it off the top of your deck, and you can just be in a really tough spot. That said, I decided at the end of the day that the value you get from the extra momentum was worth it, but I believe the other player who was playing Shadow, who made top 8, did not play 4 finals because of that exact reason, so just wanted to point that out there. And then we have possibly the most broken site of all time. I know Shrine and all that are powerful sites, but this basically, almost every time you're tapping it, it's a searchable Shadow Affinity site that gives your entire board, because your entire deck is Shadow Affinity, a plus 1,000, and in combination with your Jinwoo 12 drop, you're just going to keep restanding it multiple times a turn, and all of your little guys that we went over are now going to be, sometimes they can, I think I've had these little guys be as much as 6,500, maybe even one game of 7,500. There's some crazy stuff that can happen. They're amazing. I would never cut them. They're double energy, they're searchable, and they make your board ginormous. Sometimes you have to discard them because you have too many in your hand. That's fine. They're still Shadow Affinity. They still can be discarded to your 1 cost. You're fine. And then we come to Egress. The deck would not function nearly as well without Egress. Egress, when played, it brings a shadow back. So for 1 card, you get 2 bodies. That can be helpful both from your hand or from our special Shadow Monarch to bring back it, for 1 action instead of the 2 that it normally costs. Bring back 2 bodies as well. And an active attacker can't be missed as well. So Egress, I've gone as high as 4 before. Sometimes you'll draw 3 at once. That's probably not where you want to be. But I wouldn't begrudge you if you just wanted to see this every game and went to 4. I think it's doable. Okay, we're down to the last ones. Shadow Monarch. Some people here do a mutilate split where they use the regular traditional special versus this. I would rather just be consistent, do the same thing every game. I want this to bring back bodies, and that's what it does. You almost always, unless I have an Egress, I'm almost always picking the 2 bodies option on here. You can bring back 3,000 or below. That's usually what I'm picking. Occasionally, something like bringing back an active tank as a nullify from the next turn, and it's a 2,000, and with the Monarch, sometimes it's 4. Occasionally, you do something like that, but for the most part, either 2 resting or an Egress. Okay. And then, last but not least, our big boy 12 drop. I can't say enough. He's what brings all this whole deck together. Snipe impacts, can swap with shadows, restands your bodies to make active attackers out of nowhere. Gives you 5 attacks that turn most of the time. He's the bread and butter. You want to see him. You want to set up around him. And if you don't, I find that as long as you find at least 2 of these in a game, it's looking good for you. It's one of those cards where it's game warping. Without it, your deck feels a lot of the time like it needs a little bit extra. With it, it kind of feels what you're doing is broken, and that's what I got to say. When you only see 1 or 0 copies of this, it's a tough game. If you see 2+, you're cooking most of the time.
Awesome. And what were your matchups today, and which ones were hard?
So, a lot of them ended up being hard. A lot of them matches were close today. But I played 1 Red Kenshin the first round. He was a new player, really funny, but he didn't know much what he was doing. Normally, Red Kenshin is a tough matchup for this deck, but thankfully he was a new player, at least for me at least, and that was a pretty good win. After that, I played Milwoo, the boogeyman from the last regional, just won it. I think this deck has a particularly good matchup into Milwoo, so I was happy about that one. I think I won that one pretty comfortably, 3 or 4 life left at the end. It took him too long to get to 20 in his sideline. And then we had my 1 loss of the day. It ended 8-1. I played against a Spear player, and it was really close. I was ahead, but on a second to last life, I had a Spear. I think it was a second to last life. It was hard to remember that long ago. But one of his life was a Spear out of life, and it messed up. I lost multiple attacks from it, and it really messed up his next turn for me. So that was my 1 loss of the day, was to Spear. The Mari version, I should say, the new fancy thing. After that, I believe it was the Toshi player. I played 1 Toshi player, and thankfully that's the deck I've played at a lot of regionals before, so I had a lot of experience on what to expect, but that was probably my most fun matchup of the day. It was back and forth. I think I got stunned for my entire board like 3 times, at least 3, maybe even 4. He kept doing the 1 drops, bringing it back. And the only reason I was able to clutch it out is it took him until the second to last turn of the game. He didn't play a Kenpachi raid until his last turn of the game. And that really made it so that I was able to close it out, eventually. Because he was stunning me. I was giving him bodies, a little bit of life here and there. But eventually got there. That was a fun one. After that, I believe it was the second Spear player I played. And that one was tough. I had some fortunate life at the start there. I believe my first 2, he went a pretty aggressive play and raided Amari and hit into my life with a damage 2 from Masato really early. He sacrifices Masato, went for damage 2. And it was a special and a color trigger off that for me. And that really swung the tempo. I'm not sure how that game would have played out without that first life, but that really flipped the game on its head, and I was able to close that one out. I think I finished with 1 or 2 life, but I think whatever life I gave him, I didn't have to go down to 1 there. I think I did because I knew I had it on the way back. But that was a tough one too. It might have gone differently. And then round 6, I believe round 6, that's where we're at. I played Saito. Saito is a crazy matchup. It really just depends on who sees more of. They see Saitos, I see 12 drops. They do similar things. Their deck is very consistent. It was scary. Honestly, if he had, unfortunately, that's kind of why we do it. We snuck in for the last damage with Kaizo. He only had 4,000 bodies on his board, and we got that damage through. And if he had blocked differently, he could have lived. But it was not intuitive. It was not obvious, and that's kind of why we do it. But that was a really tough one. So if he had seen that particular thing, I might not have won that round. And then we go on to the next round. Oh boy, we're losing track. Okay, now we're going on to. Oh, we played 1 yellow girls player. That might have been earlier in the day, but this guy full bricked. That's why I didn't remember it. But there was 1 yellow girls in there. It might have been like round 3, and if bump everything else up. I think he full bricked. He had to AP draw at least 2 turns in a row, and I hit him for like 6 life before he even played his Misato. Honestly, he had exactly 1 life when he played his Misato. So that game didn't really happen. And then the second to last round, round 8. Was the mirror match, and I was not expecting to see that at the other top tables. And I'm so bad with names, but he does YouTube videos as well. I'll try to look it up at the end. But he has some similar ideas in Shadow, and he's the one who ended up placing 8th as well. And that was a fun mirror match. It came down to the wire, as the mirror tends to. It's who finds more 12s. He ended up stuck with the last 12 he needed on the top of his deck, where I had it in my hand, and I was able to take it from him. But if he got another turn, I think either he had it or is really close to him having it. So very close match, but I got that one in the end. And then for the last round, I played against Red Eva. I believe his name is Joey. He was 3rd place at Nats, if I recall correctly. Great player. Unfortunately for him, my first 2 life was specials, and it ended up being not much of a game. As a result of that, he just didn't get much pressure on, and he had to start chumping things earlier than he wanted to. He didn't get the raids he was looking for. It was just an unfortunate game for him, and it made it a much less stressful last round for me than it might have been otherwise. But overall, very happy with how the deck performed. There wasn't really any moment where I was like, oh, I wish this was a different card instead. I could say the 1 round I lost, I wish I had a 4th copy of my 1 cost, because I didn't have a single card to raid over at the end of the game, and I could have still won that spear game if I had something to raid. So maybe you could argue for the 4th one somewhere, but other than that, no complaints about the build.
Excellent. And I guess, is there any sort of tips or remarks that you have with the deck after playing it all day and being with it?
Yeah, so my tips would primarily be you don't want to play these 1s unless you have to. They kind of clog your board with Jinwoos and makes it very hard to raid. They're there if you need it. Sometimes you need the bridge to 2-3 and all that, and sometimes you need to draw cards off of it, but you'll find it very awkward. You'll have to push it up and chump block with it. It really delays, gums up the works for you. It's a great card. It really helps you, but be careful getting baited to keep playing them, because you will get trapped being like, oh, I can't raid again. Oh, I can't raid again.
All right. And I guess any finishing remarks or shout-outs?
Just shout-outs to the whole HQ team. They've really helped, I guess, both JV, who's interviewing, and myself, put a lot of practice hours in on this deck, helped me build the confidence to bring it, and I don't think I would have brought anything else today. I was very happy with it.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Good job on earning your invite to Nats. And, we're looking forward to, having more of the HQ boys make it in as well and have a strong showing. So this is HQ JV and HQ JBR. Josh.
That's me. I think it's Josh in this one. Yeah.
Yep. We are out. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one. Bye.